Hey there, welcome back. How was your second week of Compassion Camp? What was your favorite activity that you did? What was the hardest activity that you did? Well, I hope you had a lot of fun. Let's review for a second. Last week we learned how compassion begins with seeing and welcome. And this week we learned that compassion helps us to be brave. Being brave sometimes means that we don't know what will happen when we show up. It's kind of like in the story. The friend who was paralyzed didn't know if his friends were going to help him. He didn't know if he was going to be able to see Jesus. And the friends didn't know what would happen when they got to the house to see Jesus. Maybe they wouldn't be able to get into the house. Or maybe the religious leaders, or even Jesus, would see them and turn them away. Maybe the friend who was paralyzed wouldn't receive the healing miracle. I'm pondering and thinking about some things with the story. Will you ponder with me? How were the friends brave? How was the friend who was paralyzed brave? Who else do you think was brave in this story? Compassion helped each of them to be brave. The friend who was paralyzed had courage that helped him to trust his friends and ask Jesus for help. The friend's courage made them determined to do all that they could to help their friend who was paralyzed. And Jesus' courage showed the friend who was paralyzed that he was loved and accepted. We can be brave because we are filled with God's love, and God always promises to be with us. Let's sing our song together, Brave Enough. We are brave enough to love. We are brave enough to show compassion. We are brave enough to listen and tell the truth. We are brave enough to love. We are brave enough to show compassion. We are brave enough to listen and tell the truth. We can be brave. We can be brave because we're filled with love from the bottom of God's heart. We can be brave. We can be brave. We are brave enough to love. We are brave enough to show compassion. We are brave enough to listen and tell the truth. Brave enough to love. We are brave enough to show compassion. We are brave enough to listen and tell the truth. We can be brave. We can be brave because we're filled with love from the bottom of God's heart. We can be brave. We can be brave. When we see people are sad, happy, lonely, scared, or hurt, we can feel it with them. That's our empathy. That's right. That's the first step. To act on our empathy, we follow Jesus' example of compassion. Sometimes it is helping someone to do something hard. Sometimes it's being honest about who we are and what we need. Sometimes it is showing love and acceptance to the person that's right there in front of us. These things can be hard, and it's okay. We can trust God to give us the courage to be brave with our compassion. Let's close using the brave compassion prayer that we started with. Place one hand on your head and one hand on your heart. Remember that we're doing this because compassion happens in our brains, but we often feel it in our hearts. Dear Jesus, your compassion always looked like courage. Strengthen our hearts with your bravery as we risk, reach out, and lift up our siblings near and far. Help us keep our eyes on you Amen.